I've had this story percolating in me for just a few days, and I wasn't really sure that it was ready. But when I saw nobody else had signed up, I decided to jump in. And yeah, this is a story about um, maybe a shift in vision, a shift in frame. And so I think probably many of us feel, I certainly feel often that the world is just coming apart at the seams, and it just feels like we've completely run off the rails. And sometimes that's hard for me not to just feel like everything's going to hell, and I've been very riveted by the situation in Portland recently and checking the local news and other news multiple times a day to see, are the troops coming, are they not coming, and looking for emails in my inbox about the clergy organizing to go deal with the situation if the troops are deployed and everything. And recently, I've learned of transgender and non-binary friends that are making plans to leave the country, that are feeling under such a threat. And so it's felt very, very heavy recently, and hard to see anything good. But something this past week, a few things came together and happened that sort of shifted things for me just a little bit, and just little things that started breaking into my consciousness. First, a couple days ago, I heard a news segment on PBS about Oregon still moving forward to stay on track with its net zero greenhouse gas emission goals. And I don't remember the details, but I just remember feeling like, oh gosh, they haven't given up. I mean, there's such intense pressure from the federal government not to do anything for the climate and to punish you if you do. And I was just like, wow, Oregon is still working on its net zero greenhouse gas emission goals. That's fantastic. And then I got a mailing from an organization that kind of partners with EcoFaith, the Center for Climate Justice and Faith from Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary, and we're grateful that our interns come through them, I believe, and so we get to benefit from these interns. And they're talking about they sent a mailing about some mostly international students that are doing an English language certificate in climate justice and faith. And I was reading about them, and they're doing amazing things in other countries. Like this guy, Nicodemus Zabroni from Tanzania, who's he's bridging faith and sustainability. He's working on training farmers in smart agriculture and mobilizing youth groups and churches for soil restoration campaigns. And he has a vision that every church and school in Tanzania would be a hub of environmental leadership, a place where ecological restoration and spiritual renewal walk hand in hand. And there's other wonderful things that these people are doing. And that reminded me that, the US has a lot of influence in this world, but there's a lot of other countries, and they're still doing really important work, and they're leaving us in the dust in a lot of ways, and forging ahead with or without the US on the energy transition and that we need, and going carbon neutral. And so that was really inspiring to me. And as I was thinking about all of that, oh, and then I thought about our own interns and how I can't wait to see what our interns do this year, Nick and Trevor and Katie, and looking forward to seeing how their work unfolds. And I always feel inspired by our interns. And so then I took a walk in one of my favorite places near our house, where there's a lake and uh, wildlife, and the verses from one of my favorite Mary Oliver poems, Wild Geese, came into my mind. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. And somehow, for a moment, it was like, oh, the world goes on. the world's going on. And I was like able just for a moment to jump off the "We're all doomed" soundtrack in my head and over into a little bit more hopeful track that's a bit more able to see that there's still good happening in the world. And so I started realizing that, I did this program that Robin did also with Richard Rohr and some others from the Center for Action and Contemplation in New Mexico, and their teaching is all about non-dualism, right? And I realized that I can get very dualistic in my mindset about what's happening in our world, and that I could maybe benefit from trying to apply some of those teachings about non-dualism, not just to my theology, but to my worldview and how I'm seeing what's unfolding in our world right now. Seeing the positive without minimizing the negative. Maybe one way to be would be seeing with both eyes, seeing the good we're doing as a species and the evil, and trying not to be blind to either, because it doesn't really help me to succumb to rage and despair. And what does help me is to see that instead of throwing rocks at ICE agents or breaking windows or burning cop cars, now protesters in front of the ICE building are dancing in chicken and dinosaur suits and planning naked bike rides. And I'm like, maybe we actually learned something in the last few years. And some of our judges are really upholding the Constitution despite enormous pressure, and our governor and our mayor are keeping their heads, and I think being pretty smart and effective with regards to this National Guard situation. So then I start to feel a glimmer of hope, and maybe something even better and brighter than we could imagine is around the corner. And maybe we're just at the hinge between an old way of being human and a new way. And it's just hard to see that when the old way is fighting so hard to hold on. So meanwhile, the world goes on and we can lift up our eyes and take it in. Thank you.